Oh, I'm dead! Ah, this game is rock hard. Greetings and welcome to a Retro Friday playing Blood from way back in 1997. And we're going to play episode 1, The Way of All Flesh. I've played this game a few times in testing it, and it's rock hard. So I'm going to go with pink on the inside. I have no experience with this game. I didn't play it when it was new, back in the time. But there's lots of interesting things about it actually. If you dig into it, it uses the build engine, which is a raycasting engine, and 1997 is probably the last it was towards the end of the great era of raycasting engines, as pioneered by ID Software, of course, with Wolfenstein and then Doom and Doom 2. Raycasting is an interesting technique. It allowed for these kind of 3D environments, or pseudo 3D environments, pre-graphics accelerator hardware. So this was all done on CPUs, and it was done by basically you created a two-dimensional map of the world, and then you would cast rays, or you would effectively trace lines along that two-dimensional map, starting from your character out, and just sort of scan across it, and where that line hit a wall, you would render a vertical slice of wall. So this wall is basically, like a line hits it there, and it renders a vertical slice, and then the next long, and it renders a vertical slice. And you do that for every pixel of the screen, so you just track across the screen, pixel by pixel, left to right, and then render vertically what you hit. Originally it was all done on a grid in Wolfenstein, and then Doom kind of pioneered this sort of more complicated type of level. It's still got some limitations. Build actually lets you look up and down. I mean, I think this was first seen in Duke Nukem 3D, which was the first game to use the build engine. It lets you look up and down. It kind of fakes it though. This isn't really 3D as it should be, and you can see some kind of like weird effects when you do it. So who's this sucker? I set fire to you, sucker! Right, we're going to save ammo on that thing, because it's so rock hard, this game. Look, I'm already down to 62 health. These guys keep getting back up, which doesn't help. So what was I talking about? Yeah, the raycasting. So raycasting as a technique was a cheap way of doing 3D, and it allowed you to kind of to do everything on the CPU before graphics accelerator cards came along. Prior to that, polygon graphics, which is what we now know today as 3D graphics, they did exist. You saw them, I mean, going back all the way to games like Elite, and then sort of more recent games like Frontier Elite 2 and various flight sims had proper polygonal graphics, with sort of fill polygons. Even probably texture map polygons existed pre-graphics accelerators, but not very good. And it was very, very computationally expensive, which is why raycasting came along and allowed you to do these detailed sort of textured interiors relatively cheaply and on the CPU, and actually have it run at a decent speed. Enemies like this are all just sprites. They're just sprites who are just sort of scaled and placed where they need to be. And yeah, it was an amazing development actually. I mean, ID really like hit a blinder when they came up with it. We got him! Yeah, nice. There's another guy in here, look. Oh, I'm dead! Oh, this game is rock hard. It really is. I should have gone for the easiest difficulty setting. Especially when you're trying to talk at the same time. Die, you! I stab at thee with my fork! Let's get some TNT. That's probably going to come in handy at some point, isn't it? He's going to get back up. Look, you wait for it. Wait for it. Stab at thee again. Wait for him to get back up. Is he going to? He is. I stab at you again. Is that it? I think you're dead now. I think. Oh no, he's not. Now he's dead. I picked up his life essence. So there you go. Now the interesting thing is, like I said, this came right basically at should we call it the peak? I suppose it would be the peak. Like, the thing is, raycasting was suddenly eclipsed with the advent of 3D cards, effectively, the old 3D accelerator cards, pioneered, I think, by 3DFX, the company, with their Voodoo chipset cards, or their Voodoo cards, which were the first sort of widely available, and affordable 3D cards. There may have been sort of 3D co-processing type technologies in existence already, but they were all very, very expensive. the first sort of like Voodoo 3DFX Voodoo card was affordable by the consumer, and it made it possible to do texture mapped polygon graphics as you would have seen in like Quake and stuff. I mean, Quake was one of the early adopters of 3D cards. So this was kind of like the last hurrah and the greatest version of raycasting before it was finally eclipsed by proper polygon 3D graphics. And as a result, I mean, you can see if you compare it to Doom, it's got a lot going for it. I mean, you've got this ability to look up and down. Interestingly, this game actually had, or this engine actually had in it. Let's see if we can go and find an example of it. It had a voxel engine in it. Look, I think possibly these doors are actually constructed out of voxels. And these gravestones are constructed out of voxels. A lot of the pickups and things are constructed out of voxels. So, I mean, you know, forget about Minecraft. Forget about you know, Landmark and all those sort of things of today. This was one of the very early uses of voxel technology in games. And voxel technology, one of the reasons why voxel technology or voxel engines have taken so long to really start to get going is because they don't benefit from 3D cards, or at least they didn't benefit from 3D cards of the era, which were very much designed around floating point operations and processing polygons as quickly as possible. Ah! Sorry, excuse me. I'm just going to shoot these guys. So, there we go. Is he going to go? He's not going to go. I must have missed him. Just stab him. Stabby, stabby. Yeah, and actually, if you look at some of the early uses of voxels in games like Comanche and stuff, like they were not 3D acceleratable, and so like voxels kind of fell out of favor when 3D acceleration cards came in, which is kind of a shame actually, because had they not, or had 3D cards instead of sort of 3D cards, if we got sort of voxel acceleration cards, the computer graphics could have developed in a very different way, and we're only really just starting to see now the power of voxel engines, and voxels have become very much in vogue. You know, even though Minecraft it uses 3D polygons to render the voxelized world, and in fact most voxel engines do that. But yeah, oh, I'm dead again. I'm dead again. I think this is... Shall we start again on the easiest possible difficulty level? That's what we're going to do. Still kicking. There we go. So yeah, and voxels have an awful lot going for them. And actually, in the same way that the step from raycasting to polygon graphics was like a huge thing and shaped gaming for a long time afterwards. I mean, you know, a decade or more after that. Polygon graphics, what all it was about, and really advanced to the point of being, you know, the modern polygon graphics of today are fantastically, oh, he just exploded, are fantastically detailed, you know, compared to the earlier. I'm kicking the head around. Can I kick it? Yes, I can. It may even be, that's just ridiculous. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so even the step from raycasting to proper full 3D polygons, and what that gave you, and the sort of like the fully realized 3D worlds that you were able to create, rather than the slightly faked 3D worlds of raycasting. We're on the cusp of a similar revolution, I suspect, when we're gonna see a move from like polygon rendered worlds, or polygon worlds, which are essentially flat in a different way. Raycast worlds are flat in the sense that it's a two-dimensional map faked into 3 dimensions. Polygon worlds, as we know them today, are flat in the sense that yes, you have 3-dimensional objects, but they have nothing inside them. They're literally just surfaces. Everything is just a surface with nothing inside, and any insides that you see in games are essentially faked. In the same way that this is faking 3D, like up and down. Now, voxel worlds and true voxel engines and voxel worlds they exist inside and out. Every object has volume. That's why it's called a voxel, a volumetric pixel. The innards of it are defined, and you can see that, you know, when you look at the sort of primitive voxel type worlds we have at the moment, like Minecraft, where the world is built up out of things. Pop. And if you sort of dig into something, you find what's behind it, you know, and that's it sounds like a relatively minor thing, but actually it's huge. It's huge from a design point of view, and it's huge from a kind of a world integrity point of view, and a kind of believability of the world point of view. The sort of like the flatness and the indestructibility of polygon worlds we just accept, in the same way that people accepted the fact that you couldn't go up some stairs onto a second floor and come back along in a raycast world, because there was only one level. Although you could go up and down stairs, the stairs could never wrap back around, and people just accepted it. And so yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's a pretty exciting time. I think right now you're witnessing the transition, similarly to the transition that was witnessed here between. Similar to the transition that this game effectively marks between the old Raycast and the new 3D polygonal worlds. We're now witnessing a transition from the old polygonal worlds, flat surfaces, to new volumetric worlds, and it's exciting to see what will happen to develop that, and if we'll get kind of like more technology and things to enhance it. I mean, the thing is, modern processors and parallel processors are much better at handling that sort of thing than they used to be, and modern graphics cards, oh look, I can turn the lights on, and modern graphics cards are much more like sort of mass parallel processing computers than they used to be, you know, and actually you can program a graphics card nowadays to do things other than graphics, and actually there's all sorts of interesting research going on into doing other things with graphics cards other than graphics. They lend themselves very well to things like artificial intelligence simulation, neural networks, any kind of simulation actually. I mean, and actually probably voxel worlds and voxel generations as well. Hit the switch to the end. We've made it! Look, we've made it to the end of this thing, and oh, praise be! I finally managed to succeed in defeating the earliest level on the simplest difficulty setting of this rock-hard old game. It's a very interesting game. If you have fond memories of this game, you can get it. You can relive those memories. It's available through Good Old Games. I think it's also available through Steam, although it's cheaper on Good Old Games, so that would be the way to go. Interesting game. It's been fun to play it. I may well come back and play it a little bit more and relive the olden days. It's given me hankering to play Duke Nukem 3D actually as well, so I may well pencil that in as a Retro Friday episode to be made at some point in the future. Although I've kind of blown all of my interesting raycasting talk and voxel talk and things on this game, so I might have to do it wait for a little while and see if I can come up with something new to say about that. Great. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope this has been interesting for you, and if it's not been interesting, at least a little bit informative. Next week we'll probably be doing Space Hulk. I think I said last week that we were going to be doing Space Hulk this week, but this game sort of cropped up as a recommendation. I thought I'd fit it in quickly, and yeah, Space Hulk next week. Who knows after that? If you've got any recommendations, if there's anything you want me to play, drop a comment in and let me know. Make sure you like this if you want to see more Retro Fridays.
No, you don't know it.
Is he talking to me? He's probably he's talking. I don't know what he's saying. Shut up, man. Great. I've been Weird Wizard. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will see you later.